100% Chiropractic coming up next on the Franchisor Hot Seat. All right, real truth. If I had to say that 10 times fast, I would fail miserably. That's a really hard thing to say, at least for my mouth. But Brandon and Tyler, thanks for joining me. What I like to start off with, and both of you can take a swing at this. What is your accidental franchise story? How did you accidentally fall into franchising?
You want to go first, Brandon?
Yeah. So I started with the company back in 2008, and it was two of us at that point. And we had great success partnering with doctors. I remember a phone call in 2015. The attorneys called and they're like, "Hey guys, congrats, you're a franchise now." We said, "What do you mean?" No, we don't want to be a franchise. That might even be a dirty word. I don't think that's what we want to. And he said, "Well, at this point, you got 27 of them or something like that. At this point, they're all doing the same thing. So by definition, I became a franchise, or not even really knowing that that's where we were headed. We filed our FDD, and here we are. So I totally fell into franchising."
Tyler?
My story is a little bit different. I started my franchising career at the Joint Chiropractic. So now I work for the competition, or used to. So they poached me. I mean, about 3.5, 4 years ago, I had a colleague that worked at the Joint Chiropractic, and she reached out to me, and they were in need of some help over there. I got into it with them, and then from there, it kind of goes into history. 3-4 years at the Joint. Started talking with Brandon and Jason Helfrich here at 100% Chiropractic. I love the model, like the insurance model. So I made the transition to come over here about a month and a half ago.
So Brandon, you're really an accidental franchise, but I assume it's because you set up the system as almost licensees, and then an attorney is like, "Hey, in order to be compliant, you have to be franchised." Is that close to right?
Yeah, those first 25, 30 practices were just other doctors, much like myself. You come out of school, you're a great chiropractor, you can take care of patients, you have no clue what you're doing on the business side of things. So we would take young docs, guys and gals, and say, "Hey, here's how you actually put your skills into work in a business model, and by using systems." Yes. And at that point, when we got to that number, it was like, "Oh yeah, we got to comply now and actually follow the rules of franchising with 27 of them or whatever it was."
And how many locations you guys have now?
There's 120 of them now, 27 different states, all over the country, and expanding rapidly.
And is this more of a conversion? Are you still finding this as a conversion opportunity because you have to be a licensed chiropractor, or is there another pathway in?
No, you can be a licensed chiropractor, obviously, to come in, and that's a great way to enter coming out of school. And then we opened a whole nother branch, honestly, in 19, like right before the pandemic, of non-chiropractors, people that were changing jobs, changing careers, moving on to something different, said, "Hey, those are pretty cool." Or sometimes even patients of ours, "Those are pretty cool. Could I own one? I'm not a chiropractor." The answer is yes. You can do that nationwide across the country. So that whole branch really expanded quickly as well. So we're really open now to anybody, doctor or non-doctor alike.
Tyler, as coming from the competition, is part of this that the competition did a good job of creating awareness that this is a franchise opportunity, and now you're able to say, "Okay, here's our twist," and making it better?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. So I mean, coming from the Joint Chiropractic and coming over here to 100%, the opportunity and the programs that we have in place at 100% Chiropractic really are intriguing and are the reason I came over, because we have so many different pathways for revenue and growth here at 100%, especially with accepting health insurance and things like that, to where it allows you to operate in multiple more states than it does if you didn't accept healthcare. So the upside is we are in a really good stage at 100% to where the explosion for growth is right around the corner.
Love it. Let's get into the brand. All right, here's my first conflicting statement. If I look at your franchise website, and I think the biggest two gaps that exist in franchising are, if we all go back to the day before we were in franchising and say, "Explain it," we can't do it. And so every franchisor goes almost to buy my franchise right away. And then the second issue that many brands have to overcome is, what is the positioning of the franchise opportunity? And if I land on your website, I see a cup of coffee. Like, "Oh, are you a coffee franchise?" Now, I'm obviously smart enough to figure this out. I say all that but I'm conflicted on saying it because obviously you've grown just fine. So tell me the backdrop on why this brand and how you're going about growing right now.
Well, I kind of piggyback off what Tyler was saying. I think chiropractic in general is still very misunderstood in the public. People think it's a crack my back, take care of my neck pain type of thing. It has nothing to do with that. We can help people with those type of ailments, but it's much more than that. So we've taken an approach to really do an all-encompassing wellness type model where it's not just chiropractic care. We implement massage and stretch therapy, our own line of supplements. We use cold laser therapy. So really addressing the whole person, the whole body when they come in our practice, where I can sit down, look at various elements of their health, and then tailor a plan for them based on the services we offer. It's not just a crack my back type of thing, which I think most people in the public think. So with that, I think it's what Tyler was hinting to, not only profitability for the owners and doctors, but an all-encompassing wellness approach for our patients.
So that's been part of the transformation for exactly what you just said. The assumption the general public feels it's X. I mean, like if I'm trying to create a comparison, I'll give a brief story. A long time ago, old agency that I was at, I remember sitting with the founder of Massage Envy. This is when he has one location, and he goes, I think massage is misunderstood. It's seen as like this very expensive thing that you go to a spa for and you only get once a year, but it's really a wellness routine. As a side note, my boss at the time said, there's no way that business is going to work. And he said, I want this to be like the Starbucks. I want it to be like Starbucks, that massage on every corner. Flash forward, obviously it's worked quite well. I would imagine there's a lot of similarities here. Obviously, like the assumption is, okay, my back hurts, I'm going to go to the chiropractor. But the reality is there's a wellness routine that goes against it, that if it's a part of your routine, it's obviously going to make you live a stronger body life. Is that in a similar path? A Joint has done a good job of doing it, and now you guys are doing it too. Is that what has to happen? Like it's just a continuation of awareness?
Yeah. So, I mean, first off, when you walk in the clinics, they're gorgeous. So too many chiropractic clinics, it looks like you step back in time about 20 years. It's like, let's get with the times, the technology, the look of a really great chiropractic location. And then once you're there, I think there does need to be an education component. Most people don't even know why the hell they get adjusted. They're like, I don't know, this guy pushed on my back, some noises came out, I felt better. I don't know what happened, but it seemed to work. Or it didn't work, and they're like, I'm never going back. So we take a whole education component here as well, taking x-rays, analyzing posture, sitting down, going over their nutrition, their stressors in their life. So yes, that education component is vastly different than most to really help the chiropractic patient understand why you're even here. And then, yes, here's what we can do to help you. I think that's been missing for a long time, and it's why the profession has kind of stayed stagnant, in my opinion, for quite some time. Patients need to understand the product a bit better. And then, yes, let's package it in a way that makes it very attractive.
So is new client acquisition done primarily through referral right now because you need other human beings to basically be the influencer and explain the value of what you guys are doing?
That's always the best source for sure. Once people are in there, I had people in my practice when I was practicing that were with me for a decade plus. You know, we took care of some of their initial things, and then they just stayed on wellness, like you were saying, Nick, forever. So yeah, that's the best source, but we certainly target everything else from social media to Groupon, TikTok. You know, we're not dumb on marketing. We got to get out there and get eyeballs on the practice. So yeah. Yeah,
but it's still exactly what we just talked about. It's still like in a Groupon ad, you have a paragraph to explain like the value of wellness as it relates to this practice. And so like, it's almost like you need a long form content in order to be able to do it. However, obviously, like you guys are growing and obviously the unit level economics are strong. So it's a conflicting thing. Like it probably means like there's a ton of white space, but you've done a great job of building up a business on educating this type of consumer already.
Yeah, I think so. People even will come to us and say, I've been to chiropractors for years. And as they've gone through what we call our first experience in the practice, they're like, I never knew that. No one ever took an x-ray of me. No one ever talked about my nutrition. I had no idea my left shoulder was 3 inches higher than my right. They've never gone through these things, even though they've gotten chiropractic care over the years. It's nice to be able to teach them that, show them what their body's capable of and how we can assist with that.
Weird follow-up question, but it's relevant to me because I went through it. So like the Prenuvo stuff that's coming out where they're doing like the full body MRIs of your, to have predictability and understanding how the body is working, which it's more on the predictive side or the pre-issue side. Are these things going to help what you do? Because obviously once you gain an insight, what you just said, that maybe your body is misaligned or there's something that you need, the more pre-education versus I have to solve a problem, the pre-work ends up being so critical to us living probably a longer and healthier life.
Completely. I think our healthcare system's had it backwards for a long time. We wait till stuff hits the fan and then we say, oh man, I better do something. Right. If we can be more reactive or proactive than reactive, so much better. COVID brought this out, by the way. People started saying, what could I possibly do to make sure that my body's going to be functioning at a high level? Yeah. And as bad and weird as COVID was, I think that was helpful there. So
I love it. Let's get to the investment. I mean, this seems fairly simple to me. The investment has to be right. You guys have grown as much as you have. So a very simple question. What's the cost to get in and what do you report in item 19?
Yeah. So the numbers will range in there based off of, where you're opening, Southern California or rural Nebraska, how many staff members, size, stuff like that. But I always tell my people that I'm chatting with about looking into this, somewhere between $400 to $500K is going to put you into a practice all in. That's your equipment, your franchise fees, all stuff to really get in and get one open and going.
And what do you have in item 19?
As far as what, profitability?
Yeah.
Yeah, item 19 are super strong. We're super transparent. We like to put that in quartiles, even breaking it down from quartile 1, all the top dogs down to the bottom dogs on Q4. But you'll see that on average, clinics are pulling in $150K a year profit. Solid to be jumping out of the gate with that. We have clinics exceeding that significantly, and there's other ones obviously building up. So
yeah,
we really try to show everything. I think that's huge in the franchise world. I've seen some other item 19s where there's not much there. And I'm like, man, that would scare me a little bit of as far as transparency.
Well, I like that you said that last part. I think, and it's such a simple example, but the Jimmy John's approach, when Jimmy John's was coming out and saying, look at this big, giant gross sales number. And if you really dove into the data, it was like for 17 locations. It wasn't a system-wide average. But they use that as a leveraging point, and obviously, like you have to be able to make money in order to stay open. So they've done something right as a business, clearly. But I think to the novice buyer of not understanding how the data works, the more that you can break down the information, at least it gives you a sense of what does a bottom and top look like, and where do I want to get to, and who do I need to talk to get me to that level. And so when there's more transparency, obviously in item 19, it gives the buyer a lot more to work through. Let's jump to the vision. What's as simple as this question is, what's the vision for the brand? Where do you see it going in the next year or so?
Yeah. I think the initial vision was we have to start to change healthcare. And it goes back to what we said. And I know that kind of sounds funny. Dr. Jason, our CEO and founder, his kids always laugh at him when he says, I'm going to change healthcare. He's dead serious when he says it. I think it's been backwards, like I said, for so long. We're really trying to bring this education, this proactive approach to it. So if we can do that through offering a whole body wellness, then that's the vision of what we're doing. And much like you said, I think your example, Nick, is great of Massage Envy, because it's like you said, it was either deemed like something that was super expensive and you don't do it very often, or something that's kind of creepy with a red light and you're like, what's going on in that place? But they took it and made it actually really cool. I think the same thing with us. It's time to put chiropractic on the forefront. We don't cure and fix everything, but we can really help people stay out of hospitals, out of surgeries, out of things of that nature. That's the vision of what 100% is.
Tyler, anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think that if we're the vision and if we're going to change healthcare, I think a part of that is brand recognition, right? We need a platform and an audience to speak to. So as we grow, it's imperative that we use that audience and our patient count to implement those changes. So the perception of the general public and their view of chiropractic care changes gradually over time. And that is the goal, right? I mean, obviously we want patients in the door, but that doesn't mean we don't want to grow at the same time.
Yeah, that's helpful. Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, unsolicited advice. When I'm looking at your guys' business opportunity, I think you're doing a great job from a branding standpoint. I think brand helps build credibility, so I think you've done a great job there. If I bought the business tomorrow, I'm taking 100%, and I'm using that as the North Star for franchisees, meaning here's how we get you to 100%. And you almost cross apply the same practice back to how you onboard a franchisee. That you're going to start at 0% when you're onboarding with us, but to get you to 100% optimal, here is the process to do here. And here's how we fit in from a support standpoint. I think when the name starts translating over to why you, why now, so that there is a clear definition, you already have it in 100%. And I think 100% for a franchisee doesn't mean they have to be 100% as a number one in the system, but the job one is to get them as optimal as possible so the health and wellness of their franchise is in alignment with what their expectations were. And I think you could take that messaging, cross apply it over. I think far too often brands don't separate out the businesses enough. And obviously when you're working with a customer, it's much different than working with a franchisee. But I think you already have an avatar in the 100% to actually cross apply it over to franchising. So that's my unsolicited 2 cents, but
like it.
Yeah, I think you guys are doing good stuff clearly, and you're inching and making a difference. You're going to move a mountain over time, and I think the more noise in the marketplace on wellness and taking care of our bodies, the better the customer is gonna, or the more the customer is going to want to be in your infrastructure as well. So,
agreed.
Yeah, good stuff. Thanks for sharing some of your guys' story with me today. Thanks for doing this.
Are we just not going to acknowledge the fact that Brandon's been frozen for the last 8 minutes?
I acknowledged it. I just moved right past it. It was like, what am I going to do? I could kick him out, but it's not going to do anything.
At least I'm smiling and my eyes are open. It looks pretty good. I don't have that.
It's like somebody just hit you in the back of the head, but yeah, that's all right.
I mean, it's like you're not 100% IT. If you were 100% IT, you would have really, really big issues on the end of this. But
I think this is going to be your future LinkedIn profile picture.
Love it. Thanks, guys. Thanks for doing this.